Welcome everyone to the Wise Agent Society. What day is today? We're on National Real Estate News Day today, and what a fun intro! Did you guys hear the music while we were waiting to come in?
Yeah,
it was like boop, 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 boop.
we were dancing.
I was too. I was like, wow, this is like, I feel like we're getting on a for real show here. So anyway, I wanted to introduce everybody to some great new associates of mine, Stephanie and Holly from Hills Bank in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. We are in cahoots with each other through the Habitat for Humanity. And it's Stephanie Schumacher and Holly Randall. I should have said your whole names. At Hills Bank, which is that a credit union or is that a standalone bank, or how do you call it?
Yeah, we're an independent, locally owned bank here in Iowa, focusing in the Eastern Iowa corridor. So Cedar Rapids, Iowa City, primarily inland Johnson and Washington counties, and then surrounding areas as well.
Very cool. Very cool. And I've heard good things, not only from working with you guys a little bit through Habitat, which, by the way, top notch. Both these ladies are doing a huge amount of work for that committee and that organization, which is super duper cool. So I also urge anybody that's watching to get involved with your local Habitat for Humanity, but especially people in Iowa or in the Cedar Rapids Valley area. It's a great association to be a part of, and we have lots of fun. I'm the new guy, but I'm thoroughly enjoying it. So everybody should look into joining up with the Habitat crew. So that, like I said, that's how the three of us met. I think maybe originally it was probably at a meeting, one of the committee meetings, but then also I helped volunteer at the bags tournament for Habitat for Humanity for the Realtors Association, which was super fun. Super fun. The events that the Habitat committee puts on are the best ones that I've seen in a long time. And I've been a part of a lot of associations in Las Vegas and San Diego and all that stuff. So these ones are really fun. They're upbeat and they, raise a lot of money for a great cause. So happy to be a part of it.
Yep. We're happy to have you too. I can tell you that your sales efforts in raising money that day didn't go unnoticed. So we're happy to have you join our group.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad it worked. Next time, maybe I'll just come for the whole time. I wasn't sure what to expect or how to work it. So maybe I'll come for more time, and maybe I'll bring another person and we'll strong arm some people into giving up money in a fun way. We won't really beat them up or anything.
Great.
But I did have my son that day though. How old is he? 13-year-old. And he really enjoyed it. He had a fun time hanging out. So
good.
It's good for all the people. So moving into the nuts and bolts of things. Well, actually, first of all, let's talk maybe a little bit about, if you both would, just tell a little bit about your history, maybe how you got into the mortgage world, why you got into it, how long you've been doing it, and kind of where you're at now.
You want to go ahead and start? Sure. So I'm Holly, and I joined Hills Bank. Next year will be 20 years ago.
Wow.
So I spent a short amount of time in the teller line. Then I moved to the commercial department and worked with commercial lenders on that side of the bank. Did a handful of years as a commercial lender and quickly found out that didn't really speak to my heart. So about 10 years ago, I moved over to the mortgage department, and this has been my home ever since.
10 years ago, you've been in the mortgage department.
Yep.
Very
Here
cool.
in Cedar Rapids and Marion. So.
Okay, cool. And are you based in a physical location?
So
do you have a desk somewhere?
We can pop around anywhere. We're pretty flexible with meeting people, but my physical location where I show up to every day is in Marion.
Okay, cool. Very cool.
And I'm Stephanie Schumacher. I've been with Hills Bank since 2005. So I started a year after Holly. The majority of my time I've been in the mortgage department, both in lending and then leading a team of lenders in Cedar Rapids and Marion. I did spend a little bit of time in retail and managing a location, but kind of like Holly said, mortgage is my language and my passion. The ability to help people buy homes or build homes and make a difference and just kind of build that connection and have every day be just a little bit different and trying to find solutions for people. That's what I enjoy and what I'm passionate about. And Hills Bank is a great place to be able to do that, being a local institution that really focuses on customer service and connecting with our customers and doing good in the community. And I'm proud to say that everybody on our mortgage team here at Hills Bank is really involved in the community. So we volunteer a lot and raise money for Habitat. But each of the members on our team are involved in different nonprofits or organizations where they're volunteering in the community or fundraising for different nonprofits. We're all very involved, and not just because, it's the right thing to do. We actually enjoy it. And I think that makes a big difference in when you're working with somebody on our team.
Yeah, I love that. And it sounds like an amazing culture, which is to me usually very important in where I'm working. I want to be with like-minded people that come from a servant's heart, and be able to help the community and help people do better. And I think the people that come and work like that actually have the most successful businesses, because you're coming from contribution, you're coming from a place of love and all of that. So that's really cool. I'm glad that you guys have that at your workplace, because that's super important.
It's important.
Yeah. I was looking at, or I have looked at, and I think that you guys have your mortgage rates posted on your website, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Hillsbank.com.
Yeah, which is really cool, because I know credit unions do that, but a lot of other banks don't necessarily do that. So it's nice to be able to pop on there and see what you do. And they're excellent rates. I've looked on there, and sometimes, if not most of the time, they're the lowest that I've seen. There are a couple other that sometimes you flip-flop with, but I'm not going to say who. We're not talking about the competition today. But all I'm saying is, like, they're rock bottom prices. It's a really good deal.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and where do you work out of then, Stephanie? Do you have a physical?
I do. Like Holly mentioned, we do travel around to the different locations to whatever's going to work best for the customer. My physical office, where I show up to most of the time, is in Mount Vernon, so just outside of Cedar Rapids.
Okay, cool. Sounds awesome. And so both of you been at Hills your entire careers?
Hills Bank was my first full-time job, so I would say it is right out of college. I came here, so it's a second family for me.
Wow,
sure.
That's so cool.
And I'm a little bit older than Holly, so it wasn't my oh, stop it. But I was involved in sales prior to coming to Hills Bank. When I came to Hills Bank, I had no banking experience. Hills Bank is also really good about finding the right people with the right personal qualities. We can train people to do the task of a job. But what we're looking for is good people to train to do the job. So that was how I got started at Hills Bank.
That's awesome. I love that, because in working with multiple teams and building teams over the years in different states, that's a challenge to find people that are in culture and that you would like to be around and work with every day, and also have the talent, or at least the ability, to learn and do the skills.
Correct.
And I think in our industry here, Hills Bank is the place to be. Like you said, our rates are tend to be the lowest, or very, very comparable to our competitors. And then our job is easy as well, because we're allowed to offer all the products that somebody would need in home purchasing and refinancing. And so that makes our job easy, to be able to have the whole array of products to offer our customers to find out what works best for them.
Yeah, I love that. Do you know, and I know a little bit of mortgage jargon, but I don't know everything. But so then would you guys be considered a portfolio bank, or is that a bigger bank?
So we do have our own portfolio where
You keep
we
the
lend loans with the local deposits that we have from customers. That allows us to lend local loans in the community as well. So yes, we do have a
okay.
portfolio, but we also, like other mortgage lenders in the industry, work with investors and often sell off the servicing and the mortgage-backed loan to investors as well. So
Yep,
both
which
options.
is super common. That's not an
Mhm. Yeah,
unusual thing. Most and even some banks fully, sell off all of their loans after they
correct.
close. So like a
Correct. Yeah.
reverse broker, like a loan
Yep. Some
broker, right?
places, yeah, some lending institutions don't have the ability to do a portfolio loan.
Hmm.
Some kind of have to modify their business model at different times. We're fortunate to be locally focused.
Hmm.
So when people bank with us and have their deposits here, their checking accounts or savings accounts, maybe some CD specials or trust and wealth management funds, we're able to use our local deposits to
Hmm.
fund local loans here, make donations to the local school districts and youth organizations and nonprofits. So dollars invested and on deposit here at Hills Bank stay in our local community where our employees and our customers all live and work. And so that's really important to us as well.
That's really, really cool. I've never really dealt with a bank in the places that I've worked so far that are like that are so community intertwined
Yeah.
because you are a local bank and
Yeah.
it's kind of a, I don't know if you call it regional, but you got this eastern area or eastern
Yeah.
region,
Yeah.
and it's really cool to think about that. So when people are investing money and putting their money in Hills Bank just as a regular banking service,
Mhm.
then they're helping to fund all of that for the whole community as well, and
Correct.
helping their community members get loans for houses, or like you said, invest in to donating to the community. That's super cool. I've
Yeah.
never thought about that or seen that before.
Yeah.
But back to what we can offer, even though we are a small local bank and help our communities, but we also want to help our customers and take care of their needs that might take them out of Iowa. So we
Uh-huh.
are able to do out of state lending for our customers and, um, be their bank lifelong.
Very cool. So does that mean that you're licensed in multiple states, and is it per LO loan officer, or
That's more of like kind of a broker relationship like you've experienced in the industry.
okay?
There's brokers. So it's something that we offer to our customers. So we aren't
Hmm.
going to be advertising loans in the state of Colorado. You aren't going to see
Got it.
Hills Bank advertisements there looking for people to borrow money with us
Right.
because, again, we are a local Iowa bank institution,
Hmm.
but something that we do provide to our customers is that additional lending option. So they don't have to, if they decide to move to sunny Arizona, they don't have to change
Hmm.
banks because we can still be their full service bank in another location with all of the technology and services that we're able to provide to them.
That's awesome. I love
Yeah.
it. I love this is one of my favorite parts of doing these shows is learning. Like I always learn way more than I think I would learn about a place you just don't know. I don't have like
Mhm.
expectations one way or the other, but it makes me want to do banking and business there even more, and especially for clients, of course.
Well, come on
We'll
over,
work.
Shay.
We'd love to help you with
I'll put all five of my dollars in there,
that.
but I want a good rate. I want this money to double in the next 10 years. So awesome. So I think what we'll talk about a little bit today, and of course, I know you ladies have great things planned to talk about, and I would love to hear if it's part of what you have planned, maybe some of your programs that you have for either first-time home buyers or what, I don't know what you have. Maybe spit out a couple of programs would be cool.
Mhm.
But I think what we're going to talk about a little bit, and correct me if I'm wrong, or if we're not talking about some of this, but um, kind of what the market looks like here in Eastern Iowa, and what are some challenges maybe that buyers are having in the market, and or maybe some options or ways that you guys can overcome some of those challenges, or whatever you have. I don't know. We'll see what you have, but and then just regular market data is always good to
Mhm.
hear about for the local area for people that don't live here or maybe are moving here or just want to learn about and get the temperature of the overall financial climate of of the country?
So I would say probably this isn't going to be anything earth shattering. It's the talking piece that you hear daily on the news if you listen to market style news. The current hurdles, if you want to call them right now, at least in our area, there's not a ton of inventory, though it's starting to pick back up. We've seen more and more properties going on the market. But then interest rates across the board, across the country, are higher now than what people have been used to the past 3 years.
Yep.
To say that 7% is a little bit less palpable than what people were used to than 3%, a few years ago, that's hard for some people.
Yeah.
But then again, there are people coming into the market now that haven't owned homes before and didn't have that experience.
Mhm.
So to say it's an obstacle for everyone's maybe a little bit misleading, because unless, if you're a first time buyer coming into the market and 7% is kind of the going rate, they didn't have the experience of a sub 3 or a sub 2 interest rate
Yeah.
years ago. Their parents probably did, and they've probably heard about it from everyone, but they don't know the two to have a comparison. So it's not as difficult. The difficult part comes in it's limiting more so what they can afford than maybe what they could have a couple of years ago.
Yep.
Ways to help with that, there are different down payment assistance programs out there. Here locally, our local cities have some of those. The city of Cedar Rapids is always good about having that, though the funds with all of these programs, I should say, typically do tend to run out earlier. The city of Coralville did as well. There is some other organizations that offer down payment assistance programs that we partner with also. So sometimes that can help a first-time buyer. There are additional programs that we offer with our in-house portfolio lending that allows for 100% financing if you qualify.
Cool.
So that's something that's a little bit more unique that you aren't going to find that across the nation with places offering that. So we're glad that we're still able to offer that type of financing. In addition to your conventional financing, your government loans, that's something that Hills Bank is able to offer as well.
Yeah, I love it. And you know what? I talk about this a lot. So the things that you mentioned in the beginning about interest rates and inventory, it's a common theme that we talk about.
Yeah.
But what we haven't really talked about it or come up with is that new people entering the market don't know any better or don't know any different. So to them, it's not weird. It just is. And that is so smart.
Normal for them.
Yeah.
They don't know the difference. Repeat buyers, yeah, they are probably going to have a harder time with a 7% than what they probably have on a current home that they own.
Sure.
But new people entering the market, this isn't, they don't have the experience in the past of purchasing a home to know that this is any different.
Yeah. And it reminds me of the first house I bought, which was like, I don't know, 2010 or 11 or something like that. And my rate was 5.5, I think,
It was a great rate at the time, wasn't it?
I didn't think anything about it. I was like, yeah, I'll sign anything. Give me the house. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
And the house was like 125, 130 grand in Las Vegas. It was $50 a square foot. And it was like 5 years old. This is when everything was in the dumps.
Yeah.
So scored a huge deal on that. That was really cool. But yeah, I was like 5.5%. I was like, make it 7. I don't care. Just give me the house. I just want to live there. So that's an interesting take, though, that's super true, that it just is the way it is right now for people. And, I've thought about that in a more in depth about, I don't know about you guys, but like through the pandemic, things have just gotten more expensive, right? With inflation and all that stuff. So to me, I'm like, what the heck, man? I'm like, to me, I'm like I'm like our parents or something, or our grandparents or something. Like, how does stuff cost that much? Like, that's not what it used to cost. And I'm like, how does anybody afford anything? Like, these people are going to be in the gutter. They're going to be poor. But when we first came into the world as adults and we're living on our own. And I saw a Facebook post about it. Like, what costs more or shocked you financially when you first became an adult and were on your own? Like, and people are like groceries, this, that, whatever, toilet paper, whatever it was. And I'm like, when I first got into the world, I had a bunch of roommates. I mean, I ate ramen, like the same stuff everybody else does, but I didn't care and I didn't think about it. Everything was kind of expensive and everything was kind of whatever, but I didn't be like, this is just too expensive. I'm not going to figure this out. I'm just not. Instead, you just go out and you do it. You just figure it out. It's just the way life is. You don't question it. You don't boo-hoo about it. You just go, right?
I think I totally agree. What I'm noticing with some, a lot of the people we're talking with are maybe a lot more younger, first-time home buyers. And so rates are high, which is impacting what they can get pre-approved for. Which is one challenge, but then there's additional layers to that to make it even more challenging. Property taxes are going up. We're seeing insurance premiums go up in our area because of some storms and things that we've had in the past years. So these are really impacting, what people can get pre-approved for. And as everybody knows, home prices are not going down. So it's really preventing some people to get the home they might want or in a price range that is in their budget. So it's an interesting time.
It is an interesting time. And I have a question, and I ask this question on almost every show. Do you think it's smarter to wait until the interest rates go down? Would that be what a buyer should do right now? That'll be better for them?
I think, and I'll let you say your opinion, but I don't think house prices are going down. So if you find something, you can afford it, it's comfortable, buying now makes sense.
Did I say house prices or did I say interest rates? I meant interest rates.
Well, same concept.
Okay.
Now waiting might not be in your best interest, might not pan out for you. And this is my thought. Rates will go down. We might not see 2 or 3 again, but they will go down. But what happens when rates go down, then the demand is going to go up. And so we might see those multiple offer situations. So you end up paying more for the house, but oh my goodness, you got 0.5% better on the rate. So it's just not, but that doesn't mean go buy a house that you're not comfortable with the payment. You still need to be comfortable and be able to afford your home and be comfortable.
Yeah,
I would say, in my opinion, the right time to buy a house is if you find the house that you want to buy, you should buy it, because if you wait, are you going to have regret? If you're not super in love with the interest rate, but you can afford the home and it doesn't put a financial burden on you, regardless of what your pre-approval limit is, you're the one making the payments. You're the one that knows your budget. If you can afford it at that rate, when rates go down, whenever that happens to be, whatever they happen to go to, you can look at a refinance at that time to either lower your payment or shorten your amortization. One house that I owned for about 7 years, this was a while ago, I think I refinanced it 5 times because it made financial sense each time to do so. And that sounds unheard of now. But when you're starting in a high rate environment of in the 7s, which we've been close to this before in the time that I've been lending, that leaves room for rates to go down. And we all know they're high right now. So if something's high at some point, it goes down to normal, or, are we going to hit sub 2 again? I doubt it. I don't know. I didn't anticipate that we would have hit that in the first place, but yeah, I don't have control over that. So it's not something that I really lose a lot of sleep over, because if it's out of your control, you got to let that go.
I think you're just being lazy. I think that you need to get on it and work on it and get me those 2% rates, please.
I will see what I can do.
No, I mean, all that stuff is out of our control. I mean, there's so much bigger picture stuff with that, as far as like what's going on in the national economy, and not only that, but the global economy, all that stuff, like all the stuff we have going on with the war stuff in 2 places, right? In Russia, Ukraine, and then Palestine and Israel, and all of that. I mean, that stuff impacts our global economy, and then also how we're making decisions here. So all that, there's always a lot going on. And then with that, and what you were both saying, and by the way, I agree with you on all of the points you said, and I knew you would say that too. But it's good to go over it because it's similar in all the parts of the country, that everybody's seeing those same things. And as we have people in our audience in different areas, it's good for them to hear, this is what's happening in Iowa too. This is what's happening in Denver. This is what's happening in San Diego, whatever. So another point to all of that is, it's why it's really important, if you're thinking about starting a buying process, or you want to buy a house at some point in the next 6 months, year, 2 years, it doesn't matter. It's important to get with a trusted real estate advisor, talk to them, and then they will plug you in with an excellent lender, like these wonderful ladies here. And together we work with, like, okay, let's look at your whole situation. And because there's a lot of moving parts, everybody's situation is different. Their income, how they make their money, what their assets are, how much savings they have, what do they qualify for if it's a DPA, a down payment assistance program. And then we'll go through all those things, and a great realtor and team will help you make a good decision. And that might not be buy a house right now. So the best professionals out there aren't just going to push you to buy a house. They're going to look at your whole situation, give you a lot of information and recommendations so that you can make a good decision for yourself and your family and move forward accordingly.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So love that. So that's kind of what you said is true. So the saying is right. When is the best time to buy a house? 10 years ago. What's the second best time to buy a house?
Now.
Yeah, exactly. So,
and I would just add to your comment about, getting with your trusted advisor. It's never too early to meet with your lender. I met with a group of first-year college students a few weeks ago and started talking about, when a good time is, and that time is now. Go talk to a lender. I'm not expecting a loan out of you, but when you're ready, when it's your time to buy, you're going to be ready. So it's never too early to maybe check your credit score, see what options are. Do you need to save up for a down payment? How about income? What does that look like, and what line of work you're going into? So rather than saying, oh, I want to go look at this house, my realtor needs a pre-approval. Doing that before is always a good idea. And then you can feel more confident in writing your offer and in your home search.
Yep, 100%. And, in my businesses, it's hard to say. I wouldn't say that I won't talk to them or do anything with them without a pre-approval. But one of the very first steps is, like, you're getting pre-approval. So like in my presentation, and when I'm talking to someone, I'm like, so are you paying cash, or are you going to be financing the home, this one? And then they're like, oh, whatever they say. And then I'm like, okay, well, first step is I'm going to plug you in with Stephanie over at Hills Bank, and she's going to have a phone call with you, a consultation. And then the next one I'll say Holly. And then, we go over and get
one.
Cards.
I get two. She gets one, right?
Okay. Yep. 1, 2. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see who gives me the nicest gifts when we go places. I don't know.
Game on.
So, but that's it, right? So we have them talk to a lender right away so we can scope their financial temperature and even know, like, what kind of a house we can look at. Like, how do they know what they can afford, or what? I mean, they could tell us maybe what a comfortable payment would be, and I can translate that into, but that might not be what they qualify for. So, of course, we're always going to get that step done. And like you said, there's no time too soon for that, especially for young people. And I think young people out there, which, by the way, I have some, they're 21-ish, 22, 23, somewhere in there, VA buyers in Iowa City. And they're talking to me about, it was a referral from a great friend of ours. And it's funny because they're asking these same questions, and they're like, well, they're pretty pumped up about it. And I'm like, okay, let's jump on a call. We'll get it figured out. I said, we'll go over the options, and I'll tell you this and that of everything, and then you can decide what makes sense. And then I sent them this questionnaire that I have, and I hadn't gotten it back. So I checked in, and they're like, well, I don't know. We might just wait now because, everybody we're talking to says it's a terrible time to buy. And I'm like, well, I'm like, there's a lot of the ins and outs to that. I was like, I would love to get on the call. I was like, because if you're thinking about waiting for interest rates to come down, okay, then that's what everybody's waiting for. So as soon as that happens, prices are going to go through the roof, and then you're not going to be able to afford what you think you're going to be able to afford. So I was like, let's just jump on a call. We'll go over everything, and then you can make a good decision from there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all about that consulting and figuring it out. So, maybe contrary to some beliefs or whatever, that, not all realtors and lenders out there are just trying to get you. We're here to help you come up with a plan. The successful realtors and lenders are doing fine. Like we're not sitting here trying to get people to get the next sale. We're interested in helping people achieve their goals and do whatever's best for them. The more we do that for people, the more business we'll get automatically. So
Absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. What's next on the agenda? What do you have some information on other stuff? Do you have a next bullet point, or I could ask you some questions?
We've hit a lot of things so far.
You're doing great, by the way. Just so everybody knows out there, this is a new platform for us doing this live. It's always been live, but now this is live, put out to Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn. I think.
Thanks for scaring us, Shay.
Hey, I scared us all. I was so hot I had to put on a ceiling fan. I'm like, jeez. I got these new headphones on. Like everything's weird. Everything sounds funny to me because it's not normal.
It's really fancy, really fancy. I know one question you had asked, that maybe we bring up is kind of time frame for a pre-approval.
Yes.
So when somebody gets pre-approved with us, typically that pre-approval is going to be good for about 4 to 6 months.
Okay.
We do not, just as our practice, we don't automatically continue to repull credit because it's not necessarily, it's unnecessary to continue to do that for somebody. Mm-hmm. What I do in my practice is, checking in with them when it's about to expire and are you still actively looking? And if they are, kind of gauge, are you still like going and seeing homes? Or are you just kind of browsing? And we kind of discuss, do we want to pull credit now or do we want to wait until maybe, okay, have there been any changes? Kind of gauge the interest. Have there been any changes? Have you changed employment? Have you gotten any new debts? Have you saved up or spent some of the money that you had? And then if they're like, well, we're just kind of waiting. If they find a home that they want to go look at that point, we might go ahead and repull credit just to revalidate, if you will, their pre-approval letter. When somebody does find a home, kind of the life cycle for a loan from accepted offer to closing, 30 days is pretty standard in this area. We've done them in a much shorter time period if needed. There are mandatory waiting periods with disclosures and things during the loan process. But I know most lenders probably have had a situation where they have a rush closing. Needs to happen within, say, maybe 2 or 3 weeks. And we have the ability to do that, not as a standard practice.
Right.
If everybody was operating on a 2 to 3 week turnaround, the stress levels would be unnecessarily high, I think. Mm-hmm. So 30 days is pretty standard in our area.
Right. And I'll tell you, on the West Coast, it is 21 days minimum. So a fast close there is 15, 16 days.
Yeah.
But they have a much bigger pool of appraisers and
Sure.
Affiliates that can get out there and do stuff. I think partially here in a smaller than a giant city market, you just don't have that appraisal pool for one thing. I mean, I think we're a little bit dependent on when the appraisers can get there. And do you know roughly how long that takes? Here it's like
the appraisal process
appropriate. Yeah, like to get them out to do the appraisal and get the appraisal back.
Yeah, 14 days is, I think, a pretty standard. Again, those can be rushed if needed.
Right.
Another thing that's unique in our area, well, specifically in the state of Iowa, is we're an abstract state. Mm-hmm. So most other states deal with title insurance, which isn't a long process. Iowa's an abstract state for those of you maybe watching that don't understand what that is, think of a big legal book of every detailed history of any transaction, lien, mortgage, filing, divorce situations against a property from the time it was bare land and maybe
Yep.
parceled off and subdivided. It's a big, thick book. And
It
what
is.
we do is it gets updated anytime there's a real estate sale or a transaction. And then say I bought this home 10 years ago and I've had a mortgage and maybe I had a second mortgage or maybe I had a refinance or maybe I didn't pay a bill and there's a lien against it. Like all of these things get recorded. And in Iowa, an attorney is going to review that and say, okay, for the sellers to transfer the deed to the new buyers, all of these things need to be cleared up, either paid up, off, satisfied, released, etc. And that's going to include, like in other states, any mortgage liens or child support satisfactions or property settlements, etc. We do that in a big, thick book, physical paper in a book. And then
It's the craziest thing. It's one of 2 states that I believe that do it. I forget the other one. Is it Connecticut or something? I don't know. There's another state I think that does it.
I thought it was just Iowa, but I could be wrong.
I think there's one more state, but
Yeah, I can't
yeah,
remember.
it's unique. And so that process takes a little bit longer than, say, the title insurance process. So that's another third party that is involved in the loan transaction that sometimes can take a little bit longer. Now they can, again, like most others, do a rush if needed, but it's something that's a little unique to Iowa that's part of the process and can take a little bit of time.
Yep. And that's also probably, so that, like you said, all of those items add up to 30 days which is that's a normal close of.
It's not always so much just with the local Hills Bank has local underwriting. We very well-oiled machine. So it's typically not the underwriting of the file. It's the third-party services and then the disclosure periods and aligning with those TRID rules, etc. That just take time.
I'm glad you brought up underwriting because it's something I wrote down. Do you have at Hills Bank a upfront underwriting program at all, or do you just do like typical after the property's identified, then you start the underwriting process?
Kind of both. So in a live transaction where there's a property identified, there's a purchase agreement. Our process is, the lender's requesting based on our knowledge what we're going to need, goes to a processor and is submitted to underwriting in a very short time period. But the benefit of us having local underwriters as employees of our bank is we can reach out to them on one-off scenarios, or, we're talking to somebody and they're like, we're going to look at this property. Is this going to be an issue? And we can get on the phone or send an email or a department meeting, talk to our underwriters and say, okay, what do you think about this? Or we've got this situation, it's a little unique. And we can send to the entire group. So if they need to kind of have a discussion about it, we're really fortunate to have that, and that it's not a third party underwriting group where we have to wait. Like we can just, hey, Josh, I've got this weird situation. Can you talk it through with me?
Yeah,
and
that is
to do that. So lucky to have that.
That's a huge deal. And I recommend that realtors out there, make sure that you're working with a lender that has an in-house underwriter. That's so helpful to be able to like go tap somebody on the shoulder, so to speak. I mean, maybe you physically can, maybe you can't, but I mean, somebody that's local that you work with regularly that's reasonable as well, because if you get these huge banks and corporations, whatever, with these pools of underwriting, third party, whatever, they're more like a telemarketer. They're just processing and pushing paperwork through. And when you need help with a specific situation or asking questions or, whatever, you can't get that service like you're talking about where you can just ask the question before wasting time or getting tied up in a contract that's not even, it was never going to go because it couldn't.
Yeah.
And then everybody's in trouble.
Yeah.
It
I
makes a lot of stress.
I think the realtor partners we work with on both sides, seller and buyer, feel real confident when they get a pre-approval from Hills Bank. So it's not just that pushing paper and a quick look at an online application and spitting out a pre-approval based on what was entered. We actually take the effort to make sure that there's nothing that causes a problem down the road after a contract signed. So,
which is important to the consumers out there and the clients. Like just getting a pre-approval from any place, like Quicken or Rocket or whatever, any of those online ones, yeah, that you're really setting yourself up for problems down the road, right? Because yeah, maybe you can go look at houses, maybe you can even put offers on a house. If you have a good realtor, they might suggest that you cross qualify with somebody that's more reputable than those companies. Not saying that those, you can't close loans with those companies. I've done it. It's like, you know,
it just goes back to, you know, not waiting to speak with a professional, giving yourself that time to research and do some shopping around, and then having the time to, okay, they have the lower rate. Those closing costs are higher. I can refinance here. You know, there's more to look at than just the rate. There's more to look at than just the closing costs. There's, you know, it's looking at the whole picture with your situation.
Yep, you're exactly right. And then also working with a professional, with somebody that communicates well and keeps the transparency at a high level. So, you know, I expect from my clients that if there's an issue or anything coming up, that I want the lender talking to me about it, so that we can come up with a game plan and talk to the client and get something figured out, or we don't. If people are quiet about it and, you know, struggling to fix something that they messed up or whatever in the background, and they don't own up to it and involve me and help so that I can help fix the situation, well, I mean, that doesn't work out good for anybody, and that's not going to give repeat business, for one thing, but it also just creates a lot of damage and stress that is not needed. So, you know,
it's funny to think about how many people are involved in a purchase transaction. Like I've added it up before, you know, 2 realtors, a lender, a seller, an abstractor, an attorney, all these people. And knock on wood, it hasn't happened for me, but I have heard of the deals falling apart at the closing table or the day before. And it's like, how did this happen? And look at all that time and energy and money wasted just because of a poor start to the deal.
Yeah, that's why it's important to have, you know, high quality professionals that are looking at all of those things and kind of quarterbacking. Because you're right. I think I usually say 7 or 8 people that are a part of each transaction. And as a good realtor, it's my job to make sure that everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Absolutely.
You know, be a part of that, be get in front of any potential issues, and then explain the process in a step-by-step kind of way, so that people aren't like wondering what's next. Well, if you have a good consultation and you talk about everything, and it makes the whole experience way better for everyone, and it saves time, money, and stress. Yeah, it's funny when you're talking about the abstract. The abstract was new to me when I first moved here 2 or 3 years ago. Well, I'm from Iowa, but when I moved back here a few years ago, and they give you a literal, it's like a phone book, like an old school phone book, which some people don't even know what that looks like. But it has the original documents that were signed long ago. Not that I have bought a house that old, but pretty neat and unique. I don't know if there's a lot of pros to it or not. It's just the way it is. I don't know if there are pros or cons, except you have to actually physically care for this document, or if they have to rebuild the abstract, I think it's like $1,000.
Yeah.
Does that sound right?
They're very pricey to recreate, just because of all of the information that's in there. Most people will just have their abstract stored at an abstract company in their office.
I didn't even know that was an option.
Okay. Also, another thing you can consider is Hills Bank has safe deposit boxes. So some people will hang on to theirs and put it in there and store it there. One thing people don't realize is the abstract companies will typically store them for you at no cost. And that's where it's going to need to go if you want to sell your property.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times we'll get contacted. We can't find our abstract. We're going to sell our property. Well, we can look back at when they purchased it and say, okay, this is the abstract company that updated it. They're going to have record of where it went if it was picked up, or likely they probably still have it in storage. So this is who you need to contact.
So they might just have it.
They're abstract, because it's so costly to get them redone. They are tracked pretty intensely. So when it leaves the abstract company, somebody is signing for it if they are receiving it. And once that attorney is done doing their review and post-close review, they're typically going to send it back to the abstract company as well.
Very good. I really didn't know that was an option. I've just been sitting on my abstract and man, this takes options. Up a lot of space.
Yeah.
And I think my niece too, I helped her buy a house in Des Moines. I think she has her abstract, I'm pretty sure. So good to know.
People think that that's like the title to the house and you have to have it because you own the home. But honestly, the deed, the document that transfers title gets recorded. And then that's the title to the home, not the abstract.
Right. It's just funny because that wasn't an option given to me the first time when I bought a house in Marshtown, whatever it was, 3 years ago. And so I was like, okay, I have a safe. I'll put it in there. But interesting. Very interesting. Let me see if I wrote down any other good stuff. Oh, I just had a couple quick questions about different types of loan products, and we can kind of wrap this up after that. Do you do like a farm program? Do you do land? Do you do new construction, start to finish programs? Can you just mention a couple of those real quick?
And yes, all of that. So Hills Bank originally started, we're an ag bank as well. We lend on farmland. So our commercial department does handle if somebody wants to purchase farmland. We also do have a fixed rate program for people who are buying a property that does have, say, farmland or some income generating land. So that's a fixed rate option that we have available out there, as well as our in-house or portfolio lending. We do construction lending, from either purchasing the lot to financing the actual build of the home to that end loan when the home is complete and converting that into a conventional mortgage. We do all.
What's the time frame for that?
For construction?
Like a year and a half?
9 to 12 months. Usually it's done sooner than that. We've had some where it takes considerably longer than that. And usually in that situation, we do an extension of that loan. So because we have local underwriting, we've got flexibility based on, unique situations sometimes.
Just curious, what's down payment on a new construction, that somebody wants to do? Okay, so they have to acquire the land. They have to, what do they pay for up front? How does that look?
So if you have your eye on a lot and you just want to purchase the lot, sit on it for a little bit, you're not quite ready to build, we can help you with that as little as 5% down.
Okay.
Now, when you're ready to start the construction part of it, that again, depending on, if we're talking jumbo loan or not, again, we can go up to 95% of your project cost as well.
95% of, if it's not jumbo? If it's conventional?
When you get into those jumbo higher end loans, a little bit more down is required just because of the size of the loan and project.
What is that? Do you know what that is, or does it vary?
It's going to depend on how much you're borrowing.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a tiered. Correct. Yeah.
Is it
the jumbo loan amount right now is 726.
Yep.
726.
And I think it's going up to 750.
The start of the year.
I think we're finally going to have an even number for jumbo, which hasn't been the case. I couldn't tell you the last time. I think it's going to be 750.
Oh, that would be cool. 750 will be the new convention.
417 is still in my head from several years ago.
I seriously never remember. My wife is in the mortgage industry. She's not an LO, but she knows that stuff. I don't know. I just ask her and she tells me. Or I ask one of my actual lenders that I work with.
So we talked about different mortgages. So lot loans, construction loans, VA loans, FHA loans, IFA loans.
What's IFA loan?
IFA loan, Iowa Finance Authority. So that is a loan, government-backed loan product that does offer some down payment assistance. So great for first-time home buyers to consider.
Okay.
There's some income limitations with that program.
Yep.
Also, we do USDA loans.
Mhm.
We do bridge loans. So if somebody wants to tap into the equity of their existing home to use as down payment on the new house before selling their current house, bridge loans are something that we offer also.
Can a bridge loan also be used to do some repairs and fixes to sell a house?
Sure.
Like, so like somebody's like, yeah, you know what, I need new carpet and this or that and paint, and then
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Yep.
cool.
If they're planning to sell. Now, if it's just a home you're living in and you want to do some updates, that would be different, a home equity type of loan.
And you do HELOCs too?
Correct. Yeah.
Very cool. Okay, good. Well, what do you think?
We do consumer loans, we do auto loans, we have credit card products. We've got everything because we're a local banking institution.
I love it. It's a one-stop shop, I think.
Yeah.
And with wonderful professionals like yourself, why would you go anywhere else?
It's a great question.
I don't know.
We'd
And there are a
love
lot of
all of you come bank with us, and we can help you with your mortgage loans too.
Yeah, I'm not even kidding though. These gals are super duper fun. So that that's stuff that I look for in people that I work with. Is I want people that like to have fun and enjoy their work. And also these ladies, I'm not kidding, put in a lot of work, at least for Habitat for Humanity that I've seen. So they're dedicated. They're big about contribution and helping, and they're also fun and funny and kind of funny looking. What?
That's so nice.
I didn't say that. That came out wrong.
Yeah.
No, you're beautiful. I think you're both beautiful. So, what do you think would be a good way to end as a recap, maybe a sentence or two about what we talked about today?
You want to go first?
No, go for it.
I guess to end the show, one, thanks for having us on here. This was as nervous as we may have been building up to this. This was actually quite pleasant. So thank you.
You bet.
And I guess we're lucky to work for a place like Hills Bank and have had really great careers here. And I think that speaks to the culture that's here at Hills Bank. And that's something that, starts from when you walk in the door and you go up to the teller line and just need to do a transaction and get some money out or make a deposit, to if you need to start out in your career with kids accounts, or you need to establish credit. We can help establish credit if you don't have any credit yet, which we do have some loan programs that we can offer when somebody doesn't have any credit established yet, to lifelong customers with mortgage loans and repeat mortgage loans. We're really lucky to be in a place that offers all of that, is a good place to work, and really does a lot of good in the community. And we work with really great people. So in addition to Holly and I, we've got several other lenders in the Cedar Rapids, Marion, Iowa City, Coralville, Washington areas that are equally as dedicated and in the community as we are. And we're lucky to have such great people to work with.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep. I'm never ashamed to say where I work, to the point where at a recent Habitat event, I wore a dress I made out of old Hills Bank shirts. And so
I was so sad to miss that event, by the way.
it was great. It was a great night.
Next year, I will be there for sure. Maybe I'll wear a dress or something.
You can actually make an outfit to wear. So the event we're talking about, it's a fundraiser for Habitat for Humanity. It's called a Recycle Gala. And the focus of this is a runway show where people design outfits out of recycled materials. And it is spectacular to see what people have come up with to create wearable art in so many situations out of recycled materials. And it's a lot of fun. And some people do make outfits to wear to the event, which is really cool that there's that audience participation.
It's super cool. I really want to do it. I want to figure it out. So next year I won't hopefully be traveling, and also having nose surgery. So sorry if I've been sniffing on this whole thing. Gosh, man, I tell you, nose surgery is no joke. Septum surgery is what I had.
I saw that.
Oh
your nose looks great. Looks great.
Thank you. Yesterday I got the stuff out that was in there for a week. It was instant relief. So much better.
Now, did you got your wife some flowers or something for taking care of you, right?
You know what? Her company sent flowers, and she got to the door and she goes, "Oh, you sent me flowers," and I was like,
Whoops.
"No," but her company did. For she was recognized as like women's business leader of the something the month
That's
or
awesome.
the year. Yeah, she's
Well,
badass.
That's wonderful.
Well, it's not too late, Shay.
I know. Well, I'm trying to think of, you know what I'd really like to do with her, possibly this weekend, although I have a Hawkeye game, but this weekend or next weekend, I want to take her, and maybe you know a good place. I want to go drive to someplace pretty and spend the night, maybe like a cabin or whatever, but in the trees. I want to see all the changing colors of the trees. Is there a place I should go, like in Eastern Iowa or even up north? Or what's a good place to go see trees? What?
You want to go
Leafin? Yes.
I just made that up.
I love it.
So probably where I hear and where you're going to see a lot of trees kind of changing colors is kind of more to the eastern, like to the river area, the northern,
Prairie du Chien,
yeah,
Galena,
Dubuque
Okay.
area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
state parks.
Yeah. You know, I mean, what came to mind is Ledges State Park. But
What? Central State Park? Yeah, that's a little closer.
Ledges. Well, no, Ledges State Park, but that's like Des Moines. So that's like a couple hour drive or more, probably. I'm like, you might as well go to Wisconsin. I don't know. Or I don't know. Prairie du Chien.
Well, maybe people who are watching this can give you some suggestions on where you should go to see
Yeah. Go see some leafing.
Leafin. Go leafin.
Go leafing. We're going leafing this weekend.
Okay,
Well, awesome.
trend.
I love it. We're going leafing. Well, thank you both so much for coming on the show today. It's been a pleasure, even with my new equipment. And then you guys got me all nerved up too for this thing. But I think that we all did really great. And I appreciate you coming on. For all of those that joined us today, thanks for coming on the show. Each week I have 2 of these shows with the Wise Agent Society. We have on Thursdays, we do our weekly national real estate news. So it's usually some data and some local whatever guests where we learn about kind of a local market and or parts about it. And then we also have our Sharpen the Saw podcasts on Tuesdays. Both are at 11 a.m. Central Time. And on those days, we talk about usually a lot of my real estate associate and friends across the country specialize in something. So I have them on and we talk about their specialty, and then we try to help each other and help you out there grow and do better in your businesses. So thanks so much for coming today, Stephanie and Holly. If y'all need excellent lender in the Cedar Rapids area or Eastern Iowa area in general, or just all of your banking needs, I highly recommend calling and working with these ladies. They are top notch. So thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you,
Shay.
Okay, we'll have you on another time. I hope you have a great day then.
You too.
Okay, bye-bye.